White people have something to do with the lack of ability for blacks to assimilate into this culture?
Absolutely. Everyone knew years ago that the Negro would have to be given equality. But in the South, knowing Negroes as we think we do, we realized it would take time, and white people's attitudes will change in time. I'm a lot more liberal than I was 5 years ago, and I know I'll be a lot more liberal 5 years from now.
What has tended to make you more liberal?
Well, realization that the Negro is a human being like anyone else.
Mr. Hasty, what did you think we were before you began to think of us as human beings?
Well, in a way, we thought of you almost as a very superior pet.
White people have something to do with the...
As I often tell people, the most practical thing you can have is a good theory, is a good concept to guide your behavior, to be used as an instrument to measure reality, as an instrument to test reality. A good theory then organizes the world and organizes one's approach to the world. It permits one to be able to evaluate the world in terms of where one wants to go and in terms of what one wants to do. To be without theory then is to approach the world on an ad hoc basis, just to meet it here and there and to not approach it in a systematic form. To live reactionarily, always reacting to what other people are doing, always being overwhelmed by events and overwhelmed by the future, instead of creating events and creating the future and making the future. See, when one has then a good theory and a good concept, one is able to do that. Consciousness, without human consciousness, there is no world. It is the presence of human consciousness that brings meaning into the world. Without human beings in this world, conscious human beings in this world, in effect, there would not be a world. We bring the world into being through our consciousness. And through our consciousness, we create the world we live in. Out of the totality of reality, our consciousness cuts out a world that befits itself. In other words, the kind of world you exist in reflects the kind of consciousness that you have. And notice if you change your consciousness or change your values and orientation, you enter into a different world. You interact with different people. People often that you didn't even know existed in the world. Social situations that you might not have even recognized until you entered into a new level of consciousness. You see people, say, for instance, who become addicted, say, to crack or something, and now enter into a whole world and enter into a whole social system that before broke with old families and all kinds of things. In other words, the consciousness, that addictive consciousness, brought into the world a new foreground and put other things into the background. Therefore, man's consciousness is a creative act. And the kind of consciousness you have will determine the kind of world you create. All right. And consequently, when you look at the world that we live in, African people, we must recognize to a great extent it is a world of our own creation. All right. It is.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Back again with Cassidra. How you doing, Cassidra?
I'm good. How are you? This morning
I'm
or this
good. afternoon.
afternoon or tonight, whatever, wherever you guys are. It's morning for me. So I guess it's night for you guys.
Yeah, it's still nighttime for me.
Mm,
Yes,
I'm
yeah, you
good.
know, yeah, I like just got home like a couple hours ago, but
Oh, wow. I have been sleeping and getting up, getting ready to start my day.
that's what's
Wow.
up.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Raw in the building. But and I don't know if you want to say it yet or whatnot, consider what you about to be your the new platform like that you're gonna be streaming from. So
Oh my goodness, I know this is amazing. I just found out yesterday, actually when I gave you the message. It's Fly Nubian Queen. Gonna be on there. Fly Nubian Money. That's what they call it. It's now Fly Nubian Money. So I will be on there. I'm thinking Monday, but I'll have more. Um, I guess when I get the email. So a little later today, I'll know more about Monday. What time? So yeah, this is very new, very nice. I've been wanting to do that for years, right? But I just didn't even know how to do it. And I saw where they had some openings and they had an ad, and I applied and got it. So yeah, I'll be doing that Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday. So yeah, super
okay.
excited. Super,
Yeah,
super excited.
that's good. That's good. Definitely put your message out there, you know. So
Absolutely.
I'm loving that for you, you know. And like you said, there's a lot of good things happening for you since you've been out there. So
Telling you, I am telling you, I'm like, wow, sometimes you don't know where you are can hold you back because you might be in the wrong place. When you get in the right atmosphere, in the right place, the doors begin to open. That might help somebody that's been afraid to move or been afraid to do something new. Sometimes when you're in the wrong place, doors aren't opening and you wonder why. Sometimes you're out of place. You get in the right spot, get in the right space, doors open. Okay.
yeah. And the right mindset too. You know, I'm learning that lesson. I'm trying to
Yeah,
you know,
mindset is everything because you have what you say. So if you're speaking negative all the time, that's what you're gonna have because that's what you're attracting to yourself. And people don't believe that, but words have life, and you can speak life or death over your situation or over yourself, and it depends on what words are coming out of your mouth.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
why I'm
that's
trying to
that's.
stop saying black people we doing. I'm gonna try to stop saying it. I don't know if it's gonna help or not. But
That's why
nah,
when you say that, I said no forecast. We're not. No, we're not. There's still hope as long as we breathing. There's hope as long
yeah.
as we breathing.
And shouts out to Karma in the building. She said congratulations and what's going on to you. Yeah,
You're
definitely.
welcome. Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, consider we ain't gonna go on like what we was talking about last time. So we might not be as much people in here as while we go back to history and stuff like that, you know. So it's all good though. We
Well,
see.
this is that it's time to learn, it's still time to learn.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, oh yeah, I guess I should be saying it like like my goal is for February the book to be out, but you know, it is what it is. But that's my goal is for February. So I'm gonna say in February it's gonna be out, you know. Like you
There
said,
you
speak it into existence.
go. Yes, you can have it before then. Why
Yeah.
February? Why not January?
Well, I just did it because February is supposed to be quote unquote Black History Month, you know.
Got to. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's February 1st. Awesome. We're gonna be looking forward.
Hmm.
Cannot wait to get my copy. I'm excited. Super excited.
Yeah. I appreciate that, you know. So like but we're gonna keep going over history and stuff like that. But now before we do that though, consider you know how I get down. But I do want to show you like more positive, well not positive, but more history. This ain't my lane, so we just gonna play it. Let's go ahead. But we're gonna get into it a lot today, consider once we get to it. So
People have never known how to poop, and history
Oh
proves
my.
it. White explorer actually wrote about this in 1818. Now, in 1818, explorer Thomas Bowditch goes to the Asante Kingdom. Now, the Asante Kingdom was located in what we now know as Ghana. He gets to the Asante Kingdom, sees flushable toilets, two-story homes with flushable toilets on the second story, half baths, and a waste and sanitation system that literally blew his mind. He wrote like 2-3 pages on this. That's how surprised he was. Not by the fact that it was Africans doing this, that was partly part of it, for the fact that it even existed in the first place. Now, it wasn't until like the 1850s and 60s when Europeans started using flushable toilets regularly and started having a regular waste and sanitation system. And now this book is a little weird too, and I might talk about this in another video, but this book was actually written under the guise of being an informational book about the Asante Kingdom, but it was actually a playbook on how to colonize the Asante Kingdom. But let's get started and learn something. While he was pretending to be nice with the Asante Kingdom to get all of this information to be able to take over the Asante Kingdom, he also collected all of these items. He has the largest and oldest collection of Asante items from that time. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Look at them sandals from 1817. He was so perplexed about this whole waste management system that he even drew pictures in detail and painted them. I'll show some of the pictures while I read this mess that he wrote. What surprised me most, and is not the least of the many circumstances deciding their great superiority over the generality of Negroes, was the discovery that every house had its cloaca, toilet, besides the common ones for the lower orders without the town, the public restrooms. They were generally situated under a small archway in the most retired angle of the building, the guest bathroom, but not unfrequently upstairs, the upstairs bathroom, within a separate room like a small closet, where the large hollow pillar also assists to support the upper story, the two-story house. The holes were of a small circumference, the pipes, but dug to a surprising depth, and boiling water is daily poured down, which effectually prevents the least offense. The rubbish and offal of each
So we ain't gonna go through this whole thing because I think she goes for well, not that much longer. I think she about to be done.
house was burnt every morning, waste management, at the back of the street, and they were as nice and cleanly in their dwellings as in their person. Thomas Bowditch's book provides.
So you see, like black people before they had any of that stuff, we were clean, consider we knew how to have bathrooms and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Now, when did the white folk get the bathrooms?
it's like 1920, like 1999, I think.
Some nasty folks.
People have
And
never
those are
known.
women that our men want to date. That's the sad part about it. That's the
Yeah.
sad part about it. But I'm gonna rest on that one.
No, listen to them. This
Learn
is
something
what
new.
you're right. This is
Have never known how to poop, and history proves it. They built entire cities without proper waste management, filling their
Okay,
streets
you know.
with excrement.
As shady as what you're saying may sound, it's actually very historically accurate. A lot of people do not realize that most of our modern sewer and sanitation systems come from ancient African kingdoms. There's a lot of archaeological evidence that shows that Africans have had very advanced cleaning and sanitation systems for a very long time. Places like ancient Egypt, the Great Kingdom of Zimbabwe, the Ashanti Kingdom, the Swahili Coast, and many more have been using these very advanced practices for centuries. Archaeologists found stone-lined grains that were built into the passageways and walls of kingdoms like Great Zimbabwe, which were used between the 11th and 15th century. This meant that kingdoms like Great Zimbabwe were not only redirecting and storing this water, they were able to get that water and use it for their sewage systems. It meant they had access to things like flashable toilets, as we may call it. While the modern day design may be different, it still follows the same.
crazy. Like it might have had a better, cleaner water. Well, they definitely had cleaner water back then because they didn't have Europeans tampering with the water.
Exactly. Exactly. Like they do in Detroit. And nobody went to jail for it.
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mississippi, all them places.
Mm.
Mm.
But then you got the
カレー。白人の味にべてすぐさは。
um,
And it smells so fresh.
So what the?
like now white people still don't know how to use
It's so
toilets today.
comfortably mushy and delightful. And it smells so fresh.
So we ain't gonna go through this nasty stuff here.
I told that fucking plumber. Told that fucking nozzle in my.
Do I have a bidet? I spread it.
And then there's always gay.
Squeezing the cheeks, clenching.
See, like we can't go through this because this is European culture. It's disgusting.
Oh Lord, I can't even come up with a word for them right now.
Well, we'll call them diseases because that's what killed millions of people was
Exactly.
diseases. And what helped them conquer it wasn't they were so big and bad and they'll kill you. They just make you sick. You know what I'm saying? They just
Yeah, they bring
kill
a
you with
disease.
their diseases. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like a fact about history. Most people die from like famine and then when they brought diseases,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Remind me of Charlie Brown, the little boy that used to walk around with the little, the
Never
little
take a bath.
black.
Isn't that cartoons? They
Yeah,
don't even take a bath.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Never change. There's nothing
Anyway.
new under the sun. It will never ever change. They don't come up with no new scripts. They keep repeating the same scripts over and over because that's all they know. They don't know. They
Over
don't
and
have
over.
no new nothing. So this is why I don't understand why we can't beat them at their own game. They don't come up with no new scripts. Everything that they've done in history is written down, and all we have to do is read it, and you can beat them at their own game.
It's crazy because, like you said, they have no creativity, but they get mad at me and you, Cassidra, because we say, "Hey, I've seen this before. I don't want to do that again. It didn't work out for us last time or any time."
Exactly.
But they be like,
Exactly.
"Oh, you're tripping. You're getting off the." Let's not to go there. Let's go back. Let's. All right, so we're gonna go back to the history that I am in my lane.
Equal. Now,
Um,
1639, we
hey, Caucasoids.
started to see the first gun laws when Virginia passed a law banning Negroes and only Negroes from arming
All right,
themselves,
this is where we left off,
essentially the
Cassandra.
first gun law in America. But by 1640, this so called relatively equal treatment was already coming to an end.
Oh, oh, no, okay, no, I did mess up. I messed
Now,
this
in
whole thing up because I was
1640,
rushing. I'm
three
sorry.
servants, a Scotsman named James, a Dutchman named Victor, and an African named John Punch, all decided to run away together from this wealthy planter, a white dude named Hugh Gwynn. Now, they made it out of Virginia, but all three of them were captured and sent back to Virginia. They all received lashes and had to pay for any.
Now, check it out, Cassandra, because later we're gonna see that you ever heard, oh well, the first slave owner in America was black, which is a lie. This is the first slave, quote unquote, although it was already slaves and stuff like that, but within their colonies and stuff, but this was the first person and it was a white dude. So
any dudes that was lost during the time they were gone. Now, this is where we start to see everything start to change, at least in this American colony. Now, these two white dudes were sentenced to 4 extra years of servitude on top of what they already had to serve. But this black man, this brother John Punch, was sentenced to a life of servitude. Essentially, he was the first slave on record, and that's the key word, on record, in the Virginia colony.
Three men on the same farm, doing the same labor, being harassed and oppressed on a comparable level, to the point that these three men chose to flee their owner.
John Punch, Victor, and James Gregory crossed the Virginia border into southern Maryland. Days later, they were captured and returned.
My lord, I ask your punishment against these indentured servants.
In the colony's highest court, it was said that Hugh Gwynn's servants caused him considerable loss and prejudice.
I want you to punish them, my lord. We will serve 3 more years.
The two white men are sentenced to simply a number of years added to their indentures. For John Punch, the one black among these three men, his fate is infinitely worse. It's servitude for life.
For the rest of your life.
Now, there's no law that says that John Punch had to have been enslaved for life, but it was clear that 1640 is sort of the turning point, the beginning of the point where Africans are going to be treated differently as opposed to whites who are indentured servants.
So you see, Cassandra, this is where we got to draw the line in the sand. We can't give black people a pass after 1640. I say 1700 to be fair, but we see this is the turning point. All right, so no black person after 1640 can get a pass, you know. But
Exactly. We're doing the same thing today.
mm, but you see here, okay, let me
Now,
see what I
this is the
said.
first
I forgot what I
significant
said.
difference in the court system of America.
Right, okay, right. So you see the two white dudes got, even though it ain't no white yet, quote unquote, but we can see the difference, you know. That's what people don't realize, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
you could say racism is a concept, judging people based off how they look and act. Like we never did that, you know. Nobody but Europeans have done that. You know, we gotta adapt and move on, you know. But the actual thing that's being judged off is a actual thing. Like I can see the difference. I know that I can look at Cassidra and be like, oh, that's a black woman, and I can look at, you know, um whatever white girl and be like, that's a white girl. We can see that is not a concept. That's like a real thing. They made a thing based off of that, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And 1640, before America, is when the disparity in the court system started. You know, that's why I'll be like, I don't even know how we talk about trusting their courts or taking it to their courts or
Exactly.
none of this stuff, because 1640 is when it began and we are here today. And let's see where we are, Cassandra, because um
Even
It's time to
today,
speak.
we look at the court
I
system.
have
You still don't get punished. They still can kill you and walk out of jail and would not with no time. You know, that's why I say stop doing that. Let's go ahead and handle jungle justice. That's where we should be. They should know that if you touch one of them black folk, they're gonna handle their business. But they're not worried about that because that's not what we do. We always say, well, we're gonna see it, we're gonna take it to court. I ain't taking it nowhere. You heard, man, I'm coming. Plain and simple. And that's what we have to be. We have to stop talking about, well, we're gonna take him to court. I ain't taking him nowhere because we already know what's gonna happen in court. We already know this is something we've always faced with them. It's never going to come out right for us in their court system. Period. So what we have to do is jungle justice. Jungle justice. You guys know what that is. Handle your business. You don't even have to report it. Just go handle your business, and they'll never know the difference. Just do what you do. Put on your hood just like they do. We can have black hoods, pillowcases, whatever, with eyes. Cut your eyes out and go handle your business like they used to do. But we won't do that. We'll sit up there. We are the only ones that say turn the other cheek, or we're gonna handle it in the court. They don't handle it in the court, do they? They handle their business. Go ahead on and hang you up, and then say, "Oh, you committed suicide," right? They still doing the same thing. And we always trying to run to the court. Please. I'm gonna rest with that.
yeah, and
Carry on.
likely because I get that people say that we black are married, but there's nowhere in
We're not.
history that shows you are American. You're not a citizen. You're not
Right.
even a human to them,
They've never
right?
treated you fair. They've never treated you like humans. They still have it written that
Mhm.
you're two-thirds, right? So in their minds, you're still animals, less than. You can always be less
Mhm.
than. They treat their dogs when they treat you. We know that. So why are we still stuck in this rut in 2026?
Yeah,
No mindset change has happened over how many years? And we
I
keep living
believe
the
though,
same over and over. Uh-huh.
but I believe though it's because we don't know our history, and they intentionally keep us
Yeah,
from our history. You know,
yeah.
and
I
if
believe
we
so too.
do it, we would be like, damn, like this shit happened before. Like it happens every time. In fact, not even before, but like in my
Yes.
lifetime, I seen the same thing happen like 8 times now. Like you know what I'm saying, and I ain't even that old yet. You know,
And
but
guess what? Trump getting ready to change your history. You really ain't gonna know nothing now. You really ain't gonna know none of your history now. Let him tell it.
what was the history we was learning before? We came over here as immigrants and all this other nonsense. You know that I didn't know about. What school is teaching us this history right here that I've seen? I barely see. Not to put it like that, but it probably some teachers that do it, but like I barely see HBCUs teaching stuff like this, you know.
Exactly. HBCUs don't teach nothing no more. No, ma'am. They're not gonna upset white folk because then we won't get no funding. We can't talk about that. We won't get no
We won't
funding.
get
Well,
we
that's
won't get
why
no
you were
money.
created in the first place. Period. You was created because they weren't teaching our history. So where are we gonna go to get our history? We can't go to an HBCU.
And my biggest issue with that is like the fact that the ones that get promoted is the ones that be like love everybody and we can love this way out of this. Those is the oh he wrote a poem in 1922 about loving white people and
Yeah.
like three white girls like came to the show and that was like the first time white people came like they be like yo that's instead of being like yo this brother stood up for his mama in the shop and whooped the white dude ass and then threw him through the window and then and which is a true story, and the white people tried to jump on him, but the black people in the area was like hell nah, and then they would start whipping their ass too.
And
But
that's what we need to hear more of right there. That's what
yeah,
we need to hear more of because we don't hear that enough. We don't see that enough in our history because they took all that out. They're not going to show you that. Why would they show you whooping on them? They're going to show you them whooping on you. Kizzy, come to Kentucky. Root. They showed, remember that? Every year they come out with a slave movie, every year. Remember that? And we sit around TV and watch that garbage. Every year they come out with slave movies.
yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna come out with a slave movie is Matt. I don't want to say it because I mean I guess I do. They should, but because they ain't gonna do it. But the brother who freed a whole bunch of people and saved his wife and all of that stuff,
Come
and
on now.
sell from Virginia, from right here, from Richmond, Virginia, and end up selling to the Caribbean to like freedom.
Oh
But
wow. Come on now. See, this is stuff that black folk we don't know. And why? Because we're not educating ourselves. This is why I'm saying this is where your book comes in at. This is why we need your book. This is why we need to create our own schools. This is why we need to educate our own babies. We never should be forgetting our history because you're bound to repeat it if you don't forget it. They'll put some stuff in place and you think it's new and it's not. Nothing never, ever, ever, ever new with them. Ever. Trust me. I'll rest.
yeah, and the sad thing is like only like 2 or 3 people knew who like Madison Washington is. But we'll get to that soon enough. But so 1640 was the first time in disparity in the court system, and we'll see where we are today.
I've been involved in the criminal justice system since 1997. I've been a prosecutor and I've been a defense attorney. And if anyone out
Let a
there
white girl
thinks
tell you
that
so
our
you believe
criminal
it.
justice system is blind to the race of the person in front of it, it's because you've had zero experience with the criminal justice system. I can tell you from personal experience that if my client that I'm representing is black or brown, I have to work twice as hard to make sure that their rights are protected. And even then, with all of the efforts, they generally get harsher sentences than a white client who is charged with the exact same thing. So all of you that are out there saying, well, there's more black arrests because they commit more of the crimes, shame on you. But thanks for at least letting your racism be on.
Yeah, that's what you call it. Shame on you. But that's just for you people. I mean, we don't need no more studies to figure out black people get more crime, more time. Who doesn't know that, at this point? But I guess children don't know that.
Nobody
So
knows that. Everybody
What if
acts
it gives
crazy. And that's why they always talk about, let's go to court. We're going to take it to court. No, we're not. Because you already know you're not going to win in a system. You cannot. They have two Americas, two laws. They have laws for them and laws for you. That's why no white person ever get charges for what? Murder. Even though they kill somebody, they won't get charged for murder. What do they get charged for? Manslaughter. Never murder. Just like that girl went to that woman's house. That woman got charged with manslaughter. She never got charged for murder. And people act just like they don't understand that, just like they don't know. Give you 12 years for killing Botham Jean when whoever got 100 years. But when it's us, you don't get no when it's them, they don't get no time. But we get all the time.
Yeah. Now check this out. Check this out, Caesar.
Nothing more than a look could send a man to prison. That was the reality in the Jim Crow South. In
Now I couldn't remember the dude name, but not too long ago, you remember the white girl? They actually arrested the dude, but the girl was like a football field away or something. She said that she thought the neighbor was looking at him or something. You remember that, Cassandra, when I played it?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is before that, so I just want like it still happens today. I just couldn't remember the name because I wanted to bring it up, but I couldn't remember where it was. So
What if a gaze nothing more than a look could send a man to prison? That was the reality in the Jim Crow South. In 1951, Mac Ingram, a black tenant farmer in Yanceyville, North Carolina, was accused of frightening a young white woman simply by looking at her. He was never closer than 30 meters, never spoke to her, and never touched her, yet he was charged with assault. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a legal distortion rooted in race, fear, and power. Under segregation, any black man could be accused of reckless eyeballing, a look deemed threatening solely because of the color of his skin. Ingram's case proceeded through 3 trials. In the first, a local justice with no formal legal training convicted him and sentenced him to hard labor. In a second trial, a mixed jury could not reach a verdict. Finally, an all-white jury convicted him again in 1952. Thanks to legal pressure from the NAACP and national media coverage, the conviction was appealed to the North Carolina Supreme Court. In 1953, the state's highest court overturned the verdict, ruling that fear alone without threat, contact, or overt act cannot constitute assault under the law. This moment matters not just as American history.
well, I mean, I need to call and tell the judge that arrested that black man that it just happened to that. But anyway,
That got 12 years for the kiss with the little white girl. He was in
yeah, kiss the
college
girl.
and he went to
Yep.
a party and didn't even rape her. She said he raped her. Come to find out, he only kissed her and got 12 years. Okay, nothing ever changes with them. Nothing ever changes. But y'all don't want to leave America. Y'all don't want to do nothing different. Y'all just want to stay, stay stuck in their little system and keep on doing what you've been doing. No, time to do something different. We've been doing this too long. This is
Yeah.
way too long. Way too long.
And the thing is, she kissed him. Like it was. I forgot the brother's
And
name.
got
Like I got
12,
like
he got
2 or
12
3.
years. 12
Yeah,
years.
I
12.
got a video on
Messed
it.
his career, messed his career up and everything. 12.
Yeah.
Man, please. We had nothing to do with their asses. Nothing to do with them.
And I had one from last time that my friend sent me, but then I couldn't find it.
Marvin Haynes, he is a free man this morning. Haynes was sentenced to life in prison for the 2004 killing of a man in Minneapolis flower shop. On Monday, a judge signed the order to overturn Haynes' wrongful conviction on the basis of unconstitutional witness identification.
You lost the opportunity to graduate from high school, to attend prom, have relationships, attend weddings and funerals, and spend time with your family around the holidays. I am so deeply sorry for that.
It means so much to me for somebody with that much power to
I
now
forgive
recognize
you.
that I'm
Yeah.
innocent and corrected, and I can't even explain it.
I ain't gonna judge him because he's out because he was in jail, but I'm just saying, damn it, like you it's okay. I just glad.
This has been happening too many times. We just let one out 45 years. He was in jail 45 years. That's crazy. Who was in jail 45 years for what? They not giving white folk that kind of time. They gave George, what that boy didn't even give George Zimmerman no time, okay? None whatsoever. And he stalked that boy, and they told him, don't chase after him. What did he do? Chased after him. Then Trayvon Martin was kicking his ass. Then he wanted to kill him. No, they told you not to chase him. They told you not to follow him. And you did it anyway, then killed him and walked. Black folks should have hit the Lord, let me start this morning. Okay. Black folk should have tore America to freaking pieces. Do you hear me? It shouldn't be one building standing in America. They should be so scared to mess with black folk because we're going to clown and show our asses that they'll leave your ass alone. But we don't do nothing. So they know you ain't going to do nothing but march. You burn some shit down, you tear some, and I'm not condoning violence. I am condoning justice. If your justice system does not take care of George Zimmerman, black folks should have rose up globally and tore this place to pieces. Period.
Yeah, as
And
what
what do we
Trump
do?
did.
And then
That's
you had a
what
black
yeah.
president. And then we have a black president that scolded us because we wanted him to take care of George Zimmerman, and he didn't. And he
Well,
scolded us.
no, well,
Huh.
he had to apologize because he said Trayvon, if he had a son, Trayvon Martin would look like him, and he had to apologize for that statement. So
And that's something you had to apologize. I ain't never heard Trump apologize for nothing that he said. I ain't never heard Biden apologize for the Biden's law that he created for black folk, that divided black families, that black folk gave him the highest seat 4 years ago, presidency, after what he did to black folk. He should have been scared to run for office. He wasn't scared. And Obama should have been shaming himself for picking him in the first place. But black folk don't think like that. That showed you what Obama was working with when he picked the man that gave black folk the most time, divided black families. But he gave him the highest seat, vice president. We should have known
and
what Obama was about then.
and listen, and I ain't saying that I agree with no U.S. president, especially no Trump, but I'm just saying like um you see what Europeans do to maintain and keep power, to do what they have to do to maintain the
They gonna do.
power. I'm just
They gonna.
saying that's
Honey, they gonna flop like fish out of water. He flopping like a fish out of water. America's broke as hell. They had to go in there and steal some oil, steal some money, steal some honey. That story is honey. They had to go over there and steal the whole country, the whole man. Just took him out of the whole house. Just kidnapped the man. Stole everything so that they could survive. That's how broke America is. You think America would have had to do that if America had money? We broke. America has no money. Exxon, Venezuela had so many trillions and trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars of oil. And America walked in the front door and took it just like that. What kind of soldiers does he have? What kind of army does that man have to allow American soldiers to walk on your earth, on your land, and take your president? What kind of shit is that? Where we do that at? You just knocked on the front door and went in his house, captured him, took him out of his house on his land. What?
and he
I ain't never
pleaded
seen
not
no shit.
guilty. Like what the hell?
I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life.
He pleaded not guilty. I'm like, what the fuck? Where my army at? If I'm a president, if I got a damn army, bro, like I bet not. I'm just saying, like I'm saying for me, I ain't speaking for him. I don't know, cause but I'm just saying, if I'm a president, I'm gonna be like, yo, if my army don't show up, like I'm telling you, all y'all is like facing the firing squad on when I get back to this goddamn country. I
Nobody
mean,
showed up. You running the whole country, and none of your army showed up. Something wrong with that picture. I don't know. I ain't never seen something wrong with that picture. No army, no shots fired on your behalf. What kind of? I ain't never seen. I don't know what that. I don't know what that's called.
no,
I
I'm
ain't
only
seen that
saying.
before.
And I'm just saying, right? The difference is why America is this quote unquote superpower is because go up here and kidnap the American president and put him on trial in your country because they obviously commit crime. I mean, this is a crime. It's kidnap. We're here because we got kidnapped. They just kidnapped this. They kidnapped the president. But I don't care if they kidnapped the homeless man off the street. It's kidnapping. You know what I'm saying? And go up there and arrest Donald Trump for his crimes because the dude is a felon, right? You know what I'm saying? Arrest him for his
Felony,
crimes and see what
pedophile,
happened
racist,
to your
all
ass.
of it. Exactly. But you gonna go and you went to another country and took him out of his bed, out of his house, with no shots fired. But he just ain't messed with the right one. Trust that. He got the right one with that Terror person, that Ibrahim Terror. Oh, he got the right one. Go on up there and knock on his door and see what happened to you. I guarantee you he
Yeah,
ain't knocking on his door.
yeah,
They can't knock on that door. They can't walk up in that house and get him. His people will say, come on over here if you want to. Come on over there. Trump ain't bothering him. They'll bother him in other ways. You know, they're not gonna walk up to his house and knock on his door. They're not gonna do it that way. They're gonna just send in they're gonna send in their little nigger boys. They're gonna pay them a little $1 million, a little $500,000. Go ahead and go get them for us. What they
yeah,
usually do. That's how they usually do it. Go ahead
yeah,
and assassinate him. They don't never have room or balls enough to walk into a black country, walk in and walk out with the person. They always got to sit in their little coons, little flunkies. Here, I'm gonna give you a $500,000. Go ahead and knock them off for us. That's the sad
yeah,
part about it. And you got black folk that do it. Look at
yeah,
Sankara. That was his best friend did that. His best friend killed him. His best friend killed him. And that man's whole family should have been freaking dead. As soon as he did that, because you're going to allow your enemies to come in and disrupt this country. We're not going to just kill you. We're going to kill your whole friggin' family. Your whole generation will be wiped out. From your mama to your dog. From your grandmama, great-great-grandma, whoever was living on that side. Come on, we're going to take care of all of them. And I guarantee you that won't happen no more. They'll stop that. As soon as you do one person like that, kill the whole family. Next person rise up, we're going to kill your family too. Come on over here. Seriously, you got to do something to stop these coons. You can't just let these coons do. Candy shouldn't be running her mouth the way she running her mouth.
yeah.
And you got
And
some others.
yeah, yeah. And we're gonna because we're gonna get into more of that, towards the end. And matter of fact, let me hurry up a little bit more so we can get into that. But I do say, Cassandra, I guess I be trying to make it as simple as I can. I guess it's come off like the wrong way, but when I be like lions and sheep and stuff like that, but lions just do what they have to do. It ain't like, oh, I don't condone. I ain't a lion kill a sheep and be like, yo, I don't condone violence and stuff like that. I just had to, uh, kill the sheep because I had to. No, a lion just does what it does. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
It handles its
uh,
business. It run its kingdom. Lions run their kingdom, run the jungle. The lions, people look at the lions and they bow down. Those other animals, they run, okay, here go Lion King. And they bow or they do run the other way. But black folk come, people look at them and you think they scared of black people? Hell no, because they know you ain't gonna do nothing. Because if you don't do nothing, then you're gonna send your coon and your coon going and they're gonna send a coon and the coon gonna handle it. Do all the
yeah,
dirty work for the white man. Please.
yeah. And I only say like the lion and the sheep and all that stuff because if I was to say what it really is like stuff is determined by like in reality by gangster stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if we fighting over this river, then if I can beat you up and till you submit to me, then okay, now I got this river. You know what I'm saying? Like how do but anyway. Let's keep going, right? Because I want to show you real quick, considering. Um, now I was looking for that. You remember that white judge that had all them young boys sentenced, like 1,500 boys sentenced or something like that, getting paid for it. I
Oh
was looking
wow.
for. I think you remember that because that judge she was getting paid money for it. It was like that fat white girl. I couldn't even find
It
it
was a
though.
white woman, right? It was a white
Yeah.
woman, right? Yeah, I
Hmm.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Had
Yeah. I
all
was
them
looking.
boys, all them kids. Yeah, yeah, I remember her. Made up her
See, I was
own
looking
laws.
for.
That's what they do.
Yeah, I was looking for her and found like 15 more. So
Oh, are you
I didn't even
serious?
find that one, so
Oh Lord. She was out of Louisiana, wasn't she? If I'm not mistaken,
yeah, I
right?
think it was
Okay,
Louisiana. Yeah, I think you're right. Because
okay.
I was like Mississippi or Alabama. It was Louisiana. You're right.
Louisiana, honey. That
Yeah.
Louisiana is something else too, honey. Couldn't pay me to grow up in there. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. So
But
America, period now.
this was one of them, that of the like 15 other ones I found. I couldn't even bring up all of
County
them.
Circuit Judge Caroline Glennon Goodman has been temporarily reassigned following allegations of sharing a racist image via text message. The image in question parodied a children's toy depicting a black child with a "my first ankle monitor," a clear offensive stereotype Judge Glennon Goodman, who began her first term on the bench last year after a career as a public defender, reportedly sent the image with the caption, "My husband's idea of Christmas humor." The message was allegedly intended for a close friend, but was
Christmas humor.
mistakenly sent to a fellow judge. Chief Judge Timothy Evans has reassigned Judge Glennon Goodman from her duties in the pretrial division, where she was responsible for critical decisions regarding defendants' pretrial conditions. Additionally, she has been ordered to undergo implicit bias training and has been referred to the Illinois
Training.
Board for
Oh,
further
they gonna give a
investigation.
training.
This
Okay, you can
incident
train. We can
raises
retrain racists.
concerns about the
Can we
impartiality
retrain racists?
judgment required of those who serve in
Yeah.
the judiciary. Sharing such a racist trope, even inadvertently.
All right. That was one of them.
So they
Out of like,
reassigned her to another criminal court, right? Okay,
yeah.
I'm just saying. They reassigned her. Don't Okay.
And so and this was last year, and then of course this other
You
one.
give them training. You give racist training to do what? To not to be racist. What kind of training can you give a racist? I don't understand. What kind of training are you going to give her? This, oh, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist, and then we're going to send you somewhere else so you won't do it again, right? Oh my God, really?
And look, this is the
Oh.
white. These the white female ones. This is not all white judges. This is the white female judges. So one in Michigan, another one in Illinois, New York,
But then they say they took
Louisiana,
off the robes. They
Washington.
took off the robes and put on black robes, right? They took the white ones off and put on black ones, right? They took off the white coats, white sheets and put on white coats, right? I mean, come on. They took off the white sheets and put on suits. Okay, they look like teachers. They look like firefighters. What about the firefighters that said that they would go to a black house, and lead the kids in the fire? What about that? Actually admitted that and didn't go to jail. How many children did he kill? You see what I'm saying? So it's all in our culture. You'll never get away. You'll never get away. But they won't never admit it because they'll always point fingers and say, you just racist. You just pulling the race card. Bitch, I'm looking at your history. I'm looking at all that you've done to our people. So I'm not pulling no race card. I'm speaking truth that you don't want out. But we still want to forget our history. Make it make sense. But go ahead. You muted. I can't hear you, Forecast, if you're saying something.
Oh, my bad. I was on mute. Yeah, so and then we got the next judge, right? Then they had this whole thing here where they had kids for cash, where the judge was sentencing a bunch of kids or whatever. But
I guess not.
yeah, and he got found guilty, but then he got let off, you know.
Oh, of course. Of course. We're never going to hold them accountable. These are people that should know better. These people should know better, but we don't want to hold them accountable.
Holiday parties. We've played a lot of board games, as our viewers know how much I like my very to stop Republicans from examining whether the doctor is criminal.
Let's see here.
Well, we were talking about. We've also been talking a lot about the Biden.
Nah, I don't want to use them either. I'm trying to find like, there ain't no middle because it's all one side or the other. You know how Europeans do.
Of course.
Okay.
Joe Biden's announcement that he'd be pardoning his embattled son Hunter surprised many people, but he also commuted the sentence of a now former judge who received $2.8 million in kickbacks to jail 2,300 children, some as young as 8.
It's I don't know. I'm trying to find the right one, but anyway, he pardoned this judge who was getting cash for kids and stuff. But I was looking for a particular one. But anyway, Cassidra, let's get back to the Black History because it ain't too much more left in this one anyway. So,
and Black people have been disproportionately affected ever since. And this was in 1640. Now, in 1641, the first and only person of African descent, Matthias de Souza, And he was probably mulatto. That's why they say of African descent. But he was the first and only one of African descent to be elected into Maryland's General Assembly in colonial times. Now, the Pilgrims didn't land at Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts until 1620. Now, of the Europeans who were already over here committing the crimes, the Pilgrims were the ones who were their criminals and so-called quote-unquote outcasts. And they said they were escaping religious persecution, but really they just let them out of jail and sent them over here. And then the Pilgrims are Cassidra, it's kind of complicated because like crackers, whatever you want to call them, peckerwoods, they all the same. It is what it is. You can't. I don't put no division on them, right? But white on white crime, is one of the worst atrocities in history. And so one thing that they used to do was like the colony, what the quote unquote colony they had in Virginia was different from the one with the Pilgrims. Where they had up north. And it was separate things, but in the Pilgrims, the ones that they said quote unquote religious persecution, see, they was the sick ones, the first ones to start selling children, passing laws to sell children and all that stuff. And this was happening in the north, like Massachusetts and Boston and all that kind of stuff. They considered themselves like at the beginning different than the different kind of group, even though they all was doing European stuff. They considered themselves different from the ones in Virginia. And that's why they'd be like 16, 19 and all that stuff, because the British was the ones, I guess, that won. So America became British, so but anyway, so you was about to say something?
No, go ahead. I'm listening. This is crazy. It'll never
Yeah.
change for us if we don't change it. But we keep acting like we don't see it. Why? Why we keep acting like we don't know how they are? Why we keep acting like we don't see it?
Yeah. The ones who had the nerve to be pushing religion more than anybody. Now, by the time the Pilgrims got here, most of the native population in those areas had been wiped out due to diseases and wars. But the ones who were there, guess what they did? They still welcomed them in with open arms. When they were about to go through their starving times, they showed them how to cultivate the land, how to fish. And by the next year, their harvest was so abundant that they ate for 3 days. And that's where the myth of Thanksgiving comes from. Now, I'm not going to go through the Mayflower Compact and all of that. You can take an English course or something. But when they got here, they said they were going to rule separate from the Virginia colony and establish their own thing. And their colony had all women except for Black women. Colony made sure to pass a law to distinguish Black women from all other women. And here you kind of see the war on the Black family and on Black women start to take place. All right, we talked about that part last time. Still made sure to have Black families. They didn't care. Now, in Virginia, the first fugitive slave law was passed in 1642. And it said anybody who helped a slave escape would be fined in a pound of tobacco. And the second time a Black person tried to escape, they would be branded like they brand cows with the letter R. Now, not to be outdone, the Pilgrims in the North, the New England Confederation, and the Dutch and New Netherlands adopted their own fugitive slave laws. And Rhode Island was the only place that had some kind of regulation on slavery after they passed a law that said you couldn't keep a slave more than 10 years. But of course, it was rarely enforced. Now, I know we covered a lot of things, but before we end this of the European and adopting another religion as opposed to what you gave Spain, all of that stuff, how it didn't work. Well, it was the same thing in America. And it's important to see that, accepting the ways of the Englishmen, of the Portuguese, of the Spaniards, accepting the ways of the European and adopting another religion as opposed to what you've been following hasn't necessarily helped or saved you. And with America, this little window of time where a lot of these talking points are born out of, it's important for us to really look at it before we end this session. Now, how many of you have heard people say, well, the first slave owner in America? Before we get to that part, Cassidra, the thing is, they used to have it, right? Accepting the ways of the Englishmen, right? So in this little bit of time, right, where they could be like, it was a black slave. They'd be like, if you accept Christianity and accept the ways of the Englishmen, then I mean, I don't know what you would get from it, but black people figured. Matter of fact, I think I talk about it. Let me play
Was
it.
black.
And this
And
part.
obviously, we know that's not true because we just saw the John Punch case in 1640. And, it would be that white planter or white slave owner, Hugh Gwynn, who is likely still black people, even if they were free, they still weren't getting the land they were entitled to. Now, Anthony Johnson was a black plantation owner, and he had black workers and white workers. But in 1654, his neighbor Robert Parker convinced.
All right, so I'm gonna skip that part. All right. I don't think I should. Let me see. All right, before I do go to that part, right? Let's just go to this part, right? Now check this out, right? Accepting the ways of the Englishmen was basically, like your first riflemen's and stuff. He's definitely accepted the ways of the Englishmen. But
Exactly.
you know, it doesn't get you anywhere. And I think I was talking about Elizabeth Grinstead. I don't know how to say her name right, but um, she became a Christian, right? And she was a mulatto woman who was the daughter of a slave owner. And she was like, because a mulatto, and because I'm a Christian, right? I should be able to be free or whatever. And so she was like, I've accepted the ways of the Englishmen. And a lot of black people would try to get freedom. And like a one or two here or there in like the 1600s, like mind you, it never happened again after this. So don't get no ideas or whatever. But this cool mentality is still pervasive in us. You know what I'm saying? Where if I adopt the ways of the Englishmen and become a part of so and so, then they might treat me differently. But it only worked for like 5 years until Europeans was like, yo, what are we doing here? We can't, allow them to get any kind of passes, you know what I'm saying? So accepting the ways of the Englishmen has not worked since like the 1680s or whatever. So but we try, like this girl
But
right
we still
here
try.
tried. Yeah, we still try. So
One of the biggest things that I've realized that nobody's talking about when it comes to segregation is that we don't mind it. It's white people that got the problem.
If black people don't mind segregation, then what was the point of your ancestors fighting against segregation?
Y'all realize that we literally don't need y'all. Y'all get mad.
But yet y'all keep asking white people for reparations, asking them to be your allies, and asking them to dismantle the system.
We've created thousands of thriving black cities and countries because we can do it without y'all.
And yet all of you are refusing to segregate to those thousands cities and countries.
Just don't get it. Y'all need to be all up in our space and all up in our mix. For what reason?
The only people that I see crying about white people this, white people that, always in white people's businesses, can keep white people's names out of their mouths, or y'all.
Because when I've gone to primarily white spaces, I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed.
Tell that to the people who are willing to believe your lies. Now, if that were true, why did majority of black athletes, actresses, actors, singers, like LeBron James?
now this girl here, Cassandra, is trying to accept the ways of the Englishmen, but she really doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not good at it.
Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey,
She's
even
too black
of the
to ever fit into.
Why did they all, after making money, move from the black spaces, neighborhood, and communities into the white neighborhood spaces and communities?
But y'all can't say the same for us.
You mean like cities and countries that y'all have burnt to the ground, looting and stealing from businesses.
I wish we would do that.
I'm sure they wouldn't be impressed. I'm not.
Like, there's been over 100 massacres on black cities and towns.
Right, done by black people to black people. Don't blame it on white.
She said black people have burned down our own towns. Like, now, when has this ever happened, considering?
Oh man, what the hell is she talking about? You mean white towns? You mean no black people owned anything? You talking about when George Floyd died? All those black some so-called communities that black folk didn't own, that white folk had insurance on their businesses and black people worked for them, but they burned down the white employers' building who got paid insurance money. Is that what she means? Because there's not too many black owned businesses that got burned down, that black folk burned down. A lot of those businesses were owned by white people that black folk worked in. So maybe that's what she means.
I don't know what the hell
I'm
she
just
means.
saying.
She said
I'm
so
just
much
saying.
stuff that needs to be corrected
Incorrect.
that I forgot. So what she said. So
That's the saddest thing, though, that we say that. We go and burn down our own communities. No, no, you burn down white businesses in your black community. That's what you burn down. Nothing that
but
we
we
own.
but no, she's trying to be like, because we didn't even do that like that, because it was white people that was out there for real, you know.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
And to be and she's trying to equate that to stuff like Rosewood and Black Wall Street. She's
Oh,
trying to
hell
say
no.
that that is the same as that. That's what she's saying, because he said they burned
Yeah,
down
I got
hundreds of our towns, and she was like,
I
no, it
got
was black people that burned down hundreds. Like, no, that has never happened, you know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
But even that part is not true, you know. But this is she said so much dumb stuff that it's hard to unless I stop every minute.
We can take the bare minimum and create enormous things. Can you not do the same?
I do agree that there are so many black people who can take the bare minimum, run with it, and make it to be large. But if we have to compare majority of black-owned countries or states or cities and compare it to white countries, states or cities and check the development or the economy, let's stop gaslighting people. Be honest, there's no comparisons.
So this is I'm giving you an idea, because people aren't as different as you think they are. You know what I'm saying? This was the ones who was saying, and especially in the 1600s, they probably had her accent and everything. Was saying, no, the black cities is horrible. You know what I'm saying? We drink wine, drink liquor all day. Like what? And other slaves was like, what the hell? As they was trying to do business with the white dude until they got kidnapped themselves. You know. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of how they sounded, you know what I'm saying? When you accept the ways of the Englishmen. But
Are really
Exactly.
people that tell us that our black only app is no different than the segregation that happened and the white only signs that were put up in the United States. But it is completely different. And Panther just put out an article entitled Segregation versus Separation, where we dive into this key difference. So I'm going to educate.
so considering we're gonna end on this, so I ain't gonna go there, right? But look, as a supposed to be a new black only social media platform that's only for black people. So I gotta check it out and see what they're talking about. We're gonna look at it at the end real quick, but um
And what's the name of it again?
it's called it says putting like Google Panthers black only social media app, and I gotta see if I can find it. I didn't do because it's sending me like Black Panther stuff, but we're gonna look into it like once we get to there. You know,
You
I ain't
mean the
heard
Black
about it yet.
Panthers not doing anything right now for black people? Oh, okay.
No,
I
no,
was
it's not
wondering.
them. No, I don't think it's them. I think I'm just saying like when you Google it, a lot of Black Panther stuff come up, but is I think it's in there. You know, just put it in social media app. I don't know if it's from the Black Panthers or not, but I'm just saying. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta check it out. I don't know what it is yet though. I just heard about that, so I gotta check it out.
Yo, why Panther's Black only social media app is politically, economically, and socially not similar to segregation that has happened in the United States, and why our platform is a lot more just than the laws that were written in the past. The United States has a history of racial segregation. The Jim Crow laws, the Black codes, redlining, these are all historical examples of segregation, legal segregation that has happened in the United States. Why is this any different than us creating a social media platform that we tout as Black only? The difference is in the definition of segregation and separation. So segregation that has historically happened in the United States, where one group forcefully separates another group from other groups of people, right? In segregation, the segregator or the person enforcing the segregation has power over the segregated, meaning the segregator controls the resources and the terms by which separation occurs. Now, because of racism, similarity bias, and a whole bunch of other different things entailed in human psychology, the segregated ends up with the short end of the stick. Basically, who gets the freshest groceries, who gets the best parts of towns, who gets the best seats on the bus, right? These are all decided by the group in power. And the segregated group, in this case, Black people in the United States, have little to no say on what terms or resources the separation happens on. Now, this is very different than voluntary separation, because in voluntary separation, groups of people who are similar decide to create distinct social, political, and economic institutions for themselves. The key difference here is that the separation is not imposed by another group. And so the group that is separating controls the resources, controls the terms by which they separate on. Now, this is a very distinct difference, because this key difference makes it a lot more just than the segregation that has happened in the United States. Panther is a platform about voluntary separation so that Black people can create institutions, social communities for Black people that do not impose anything on outside people or outside races. This is very different than historical.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. We ain't even gonna go to that step yet. We gotta be like, let's get our own stuff. But you want to know why separate, Cassidra? You want to know why? Check this out.
Tonight, we have more details from an incident in an Escambia County neighborhood we first told you about yesterday. The Florida Highway Patrol says the postal driver intentionally tried to run down a 10-year-old child. This all happening in the area of Kingfisher Way and Kingfisher Court. That incident happened on December 27th, but troopers did not make an arrest until New Year's Eve. WEAR's.
Now, I don't know if you heard that, Cassidra, but this USPS worker tried to run down a 10-year-old child, didn't get arrested right then, like 8 days later. All right.
Brent Kearney.
But does that surprise us though? Seriously, does that surprise us? It shouldn't. Happens all the time. What happened to the white dude that shot the Black dude, the little baby, and killed him and said it was self-defense, but he was driving his car. He pulls over, he shoots the baby, and they arrested him, took him to jail, released him because he said it was self-defense. But nobody saw the self-defense. But that's what they say. But happens all the time. So why are we shocked? Why? Why are we shocked when we're dealing with them and we see stuff like that? But guess what? We're gonna keep on seeing it because we never do anything about it. If you release that man and we tell them, look, you release him, we're gonna handle our business, I guarantee you things would change. But we don't do that. We sit up there and keep begging them, please, master, please fix your system. Please, master. It must be something wrong with your system. No, it's working the way it's supposed to. It's working the way it was built to work. To keep you down, to give you all the time, and to give them a slap on the wrist. But when they get a slap on the wrist, you go handle your business. And I guarantee you they'll stop giving them slaps on the wrist and they'll handle their business because they know that we're going to handle ours if you don't handle yours. That should come to their mind when they look at Black folk. If we don't handle this, they're going to handle it. So let's go ahead on and get Jimmy, 1,000 years, because if not, Jimmy may not be breathing tomorrow if we don't go ahead and take care of what we need to take care of. Because we release him, then black folk gonna take care of it. See, this is the thinking. This is the what should be going on in their mind, but it's not. Because we don't do anything. And they keep doing it. And then we get mad. And then we whine and cry. And they keep doing the same stuff. And giving nobody no time. Slap on the wrist. They don't even get slapped on the wrist sometimes. Remember the Chinese dude that shot the little kid who was riding his tricycle and rode in his yard or something? And he shot at the baby or shot the baby. And the dad, no, nothing happened to him. Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. No, we can't continue doing that.
Now, Cassidra, what if white people was like, or white whatever they are was like, well, you know, we can't do nothing because if we try to get away with something, black people is gonna kill us. So you know we can't do nothing about it now. We gotta. What if they said that? Do you think they would do that?
Wait a minute, if they said what?
Like, oh well, we can't. You know, we can't do nothing to them because we already know that they gonna come and like burn our cities
Come
down
on
and
now.
kill us and all that stuff.
That's
Like,
what I'm talking about. That's what they should be saying when
we
they think
saw what
about black
happened.
folks.
We saw what like
That's
Donald Trump pissed them off so bad. Like we saw what they did to Donald Trump. I don't want to do nothing, or because I always hear black people be like, "Oh well, we saw what they did to Malcolm X. Now we know if we make our own towns, what they gonna do to us."
oh, we hear that
But
all the time, don't we? Hear that all the time, though. We hear that all the
yeah,
time, right?
I'm just saying.
But now it's time to hear something new. It's time to hear something different. It's time for them when they talk about us that they have a little fear in their voice, like they used to back in my day. They talked about black people. They feared black folks. They didn't play with us in school. They did not play with us. We would have stomped their heads out. Do you hear me? And we had fun doing it. And we didn't play with them. So all of this, what we're seeing right now, this is foreign to me. That's why it makes me so mad because we've never seen this before. Not in my time, we didn't. Because we had, when I first went to high school, they had just started, letting us go to school together. So, white folks stayed on their side of town and black folks stayed on their side of the schoolyard. We didn't go and play then and mix and mingle and this was in high school that we didn't we didn't do all of that with them.
Yeah. But yeah, let me
Yeah, see, the Postal Service says they are actively looking into this and are working to get me more information. But both
Oh, he's still
FHP and
employed
neighbors
too.
that I spoke to in and around the neighborhood say that postal worker went way too far.
Oh,
But he still got a job. Oh, okay.
still got a job.
Walking in the area of Kingfisher Court, it'll be hard to find something out of the ordinary. But what happened here on December 27th, neighbors had to read to believe.
What comes to your mind when you read that?
It's heartbreaking. This is a very quiet neighborhood.
This FHP report states postal driver William White Jr. dropped off a package at a home in the area of Kingfisher Way in Kingfisher Court. A 10-year-old noticed the package was delivered to the wrong home. The report states the 10-year-old got on his scooter with the package to deliver it to the right home. Troopers say Williams thought the child was stealing the package and then...
No, now according to one sister who was saying it wasn't just at the wrong home, it was at his house, which was the wrong house, and he was gonna go take the package to the right house when this white dude was like, "Oh, you're stealing the package." Right, so this is when this happens,
purposely drove the Postal Service truck.
And you see how because I always showed the news and stuff, and you see how they lie and stuff like that, or misappropriate the truth, or whatever you want to call it. Is a lie.
Purposely drove the Postal Service truck
all the time, yeah.
toward the
Guess
child.
what? They have a certain route that they're on, right? So because they didn't do anything, why was he still allowed to walk that route? Because you have the same route every day. If you're supposed to, you assigned to a route. Why? Because you saw that the police didn't do anything. Why is he still breathing 7 days later? See what I'm saying? Okay, we're gonna give you a couple days to do what you need to do. You don't handle your business 7 days. We're gonna call the deacons of defense, and the deacons of defense gonna handle their business. That's what we should be saying. But we're not doing that. Because we want to offend white folk.
Or we can
The
go in their
deacons of
country
defense should have
and
been called within 2 days, and his ass should have been handled. You ain't got to do nothing, sheriff man. We took care of it already. See what I'm saying? That's what they should be saying. when it comes to black folk. You know, if you don't take care of it, they come.
Well,
But
I
now,
would say. Well, no, I
you
would
get
say
8
the
days to
American.
take care of it.
Well, I mean, I was saying the American way, right, is they would go into the country, kidnap the president for violence against a black Christian. I'm just saying. The ones who we say are in power, right? You know,
Come
that's
on
how
now.
it. Maybe that's how people get empowered. Maybe I don't know.
Right?
The child was
You
able to
got to
jump
get
off the scooter at the last second and suffered an ankle injury. The child was taken to the Studer Family Children's Hospital in Pensacola for treatment.
Neck injury.
Oops, crashed with a 10-year-old in the road. This is an intentional act by a United States postal worker trying to run over a 10-year-old.
I think he did
Ain't
go
that
too
something?
far. If anything, not to chase the kid, maybe try to find a parent or adult to talk to, because as I read the article, the kid saw the address was just a mistake, and he or she was just trying to help.
The report
Ain't
states
that
White
something?
yelled at the child and grabbed the scooter, which was underneath the postal truck. The report says the parents of the child then tried to confront White. FHP says White dropped the scooter off in a nearby yard and left the scene. 3 days later,
Wow.
officers interviewed witnesses. White Jr. was arrested and taken to the Escambia County Jail.
You know, it's amazing what a small conversation would do in a situation rather than jumping straight to
Don't say nothing to me.
Forecast. This is what it should have sounded like on the news. Postal Service man runs over 10-year-old. Daddy comes out and shoots him in the head. I'm just saying. Daddy comes out and confronts the postal worker and shoots him dead for running his son
Altercation
over.
occurs.
That's how it should have ended. That's how the news should have ended. Okay. Not with him. Oh, he's still not been arrested. Oh, he took the, he picked the little scooter up and threw it on the yard and he walked away. Hell no. The coroner had to come get it. The coroner, and his body is over there going to be at Smith and Weston funeral home. That's what it should have read. But it didn't read that because we so busy trying to fit in their justice system that never is justice for you. It's always justice for them and never for you. But we never fix it. We never fix the problem because you have every God-given right to defend your family, to take care of your family, to protect your family, black man. You have every God-given right. It shouldn't have been no confrontation. The daddy should have walked up to him, handled his business, and okay, now what we gonna do? Next. Seriously, the end of conversation. You run my son over, I take you out. You hurt mine, I hurt you. Plain and simple. That's all we talking. We ain't got nothing else to say. Ain't no confrontation. Ain't no all this stuff back and forth. You did this to my son? Okay, we're gonna have our business. That's what the news should have been reading. But that's not what the news said. Took him 8 days to do it, right? 8. Why 8? And he still ain't in jail. He's still at home. Okay.
No,
I'm gonna rest with that one.
No, it's all good because just because you said that, I should have brought it up at the beginning, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. Because I keep using this analogy, but you just said and you sent it to me, but it's what you just said. You remember you was like, oh yeah, so I want to show you, play this, give me a second. All right, check this out, Cassidra, because you sent me this. And by the way, Cassidra, it's mighty quiet since we ain't arguing on this show tonight, talking about some dumb politics. Damn, ain't that something? Anyway.
Man, I tell you.
You won't believe what happens when a crow discovers another crow has died. When a crow passes away, something incredible takes place. Other crows swarm around the corpse, almost like they're holding a funeral. But here's the thing, they're not simply grieving, they're doing detective work. They examine the surroundings, analyzing every single clue, attempting to figure out what killed their friend. Crows actually learn from these encounters. They memorize human faces, they detect threats, and they alert the entire group about what they discovered. If a specific location or person was involved in that crow's death, they'll literally remember it for
I think
years
some
and
with
spread that
melanin got
information to other
some
crows in
sense.
the area. It's basically their way of conducting a crime scene investigation to keep the whole community safe. They're teaching each other what to avoid, who to stay away from, and which spots are dangerous. This behavior shows us that these birds are way more intelligent, far more observant, and
I'm gonna stop it right there because before y'all get offended, because you're gonna say way more smarter than Negroes out there right now.
Come on now.
Let's go.
I mean, we could
But
learn from that. We could learn from that. We could take a history lesson on that.
yeah,
Pros
ancient black
know.
people
Pros have more sense than you.
well, ancient people used to study what animals do and like learn from animals, you know what I'm saying? We recognize the aliveness, if you will, of animals, you know what I'm saying? Like my dog is alive, is a whole life, you know what I'm saying? It can listen to me, but it cannot listen to me at the same time, you know, because it's its own thing, you know. But we understand it's not to be conquered, it's to be one with. We are it, you know what I'm saying? So we don't have to conquer it because we are it. And that's what Europeans don't have the understanding of. They have to conquer it because they know that they aren't it. You know what I'm saying? We try to be like, well, no, we could teach them how to be it, but it's no teaching what is. You just have to let life be what it is, you know. But anyway, let's go to the last part, you know.
It's one of his servants, John
We'll
Castle,
come back
that he
to
could leave because his
oh
indenture
damn.
was over. And the white dude, Robert
So the
Parker,
first black
initially
slave
lied
owner in
and
America,
so.
right?
Now, when Anthony Johnson found out, he sued his neighbor Robert Parker and John Castle, and the court ordered the white dude to pay him dues and ordered John.
Okay, so the black slave owner had a black dude as his indentured servant, but he was lying to him because he was telling them, "Oh, you still got more years," even though the black man was supposed to be free. And so the white dude told him, "Oh yeah, I can. You need to go run away." And so the black man sued him. Now he had accepted the ways of the Englishman, right? See, and this is and now they use him to this very day to be like, oh, this is the first black slave owner and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Because of this case right here, which we see already saw that that's not the case, you know. So
Castle to return. So, although his indenture was over, he still had to work for Anthony Johnson, essentially making him what they classified as a slave. But this was 14 years after the John Punch case. And even though Anthony Johnson wasn't the only black land owner, he was likely seen as a black Englishman. Now, we often hear this line to justify hundreds of years of abuse, mistreatment, but Anthony Johnson wasn't the first slave owner in America, even though he may have been the first black one.
Anthony Johnson arrived in the Virginia colony in 1621 after being captured in his native Angola by an enemy tribe and sold to Arab slave traders. After 15 years of
yeah, I was about to say, notice who we got took by. I didn't want to
Arab
go into
slave.
that part of
Arab.
history yet.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that. Arabs. That's what started. Portuguese, Arabs. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, my history only goes back to as long as we've been speaking English, so I'm just saying.
Indentured servitude, Mr. Johnson and his wife Mary gained their freedom. By 1651, the Johnson family owned 250 acres of land and had 4 white indentured servants and 1 black. On March 8,
4 white and 1 black.
1655, a Northampton court ruled in favor of Anthony Johnson, who was accused of unlawfully keeping his black indentured servant as a slave. The landmark decision made Johnson one of the Virginia colony's first legal slave owners.
But what's unique about Anthony Johnson's story was that by the time he died, systematic racism was pretty much already in place. Anthony Johnson and his family was forced
All
to move
that
to Maryland.
1655, all that black Englishman stuff out the window. You can let it go. You ain't, the Coonan ain't gonna help you. 1655, it was a wrap, you know. Well, 1660, I'll give you that.
Because of
All right.
slavery laws in Virginia. And by the time he died in 1670, An all-white jury ruled his land and property, including his servants, were to be seized by the state because he was a Negro and by consequence an alien. And that means
So he was an alien, right? See, by consequence, because he was a Negro, he cannot be a citizen. Therefore, he's an alien, right? Even
So
though he
therefore,
was,
he couldn't own land. So they took his land. They stole his land. Then we wonder where they get all of this wealth from. That's where they got it from. That man had over 200 acres, and they stole all of it. Do you know how much money they got? How much that land was worth today? That's
and
still probably in some white man's hands. His children's 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 children.
you know who
And
they
we sit
gave
up
it
there
to?
wondering why that wealth. Who?
The dude that he sued, the white dude that he sued, and he won in court for the black slave.
Uh-huh.
His son, the white dude that lost in court that day, his son ended up getting his land because he was a black man by the time he died. So 15 years after that, by 1670, they gave his land to them, and he had to leave Virginia and go to Maryland. So
Gave his land away. Gave it.
took it,
But then you wonder
took
why
it.
black folk don't have no generational wealth. Because they steal it. They stole it all. You know how many black families had land back in the day? And now how much land they own now? Next to nothing. Next to nothing. That's the
First black
saddest
slave.
part. And we should do a lesson on that. How much land black folk owned back in the day and how much they got now.
This was the first
That's
black
all they
slave
did.
owner, right? It seemed the things he got, how that worked out for him.
Lost everything.
Negro, and by consequence, an alien. And that means an illegal alien, not a citizen. But because he was a Negro, he was not entitled to the same rights. And the 50 acres of land he left his family ended up going to his neighbor, Robert Parker. It went to his son, George Parker, even though Anthony Johnson's son had been living on the land for years. So early on, when he was in this window, he may have gotten somewhere with this accepting the ways of the Englishmen and becoming a Christian. But by the time he died, it was already over.
It was
in the North, these righteous pilgrims in Massachusetts banned black people from arming themselves or training in the militia at all. So we already see them afraid and trying to take guns out of black people's hands because they already know. And every other colony in the North followed suit. But in 1661, Virginia started passing laws that laid the groundwork for chattel slavery that we know of today. And this certainly is a unique slavery that we have never seen in history, as we're going to see. But in 1661, they passed the first anti-miscegenation laws or interracial marriage laws.
I should have had something for this part, but I don't.
Basically, white people, which they called Christians at the time, from having sex with Negroes, which was punishable by a fine. But in 1662, Virginia passed a hereditary law, which meant every child born to an enslaved woman inherited the status of the mother. So if your mom is a slave, then you are considered a slave. And to them, perpetual means forever. So not only...
And no, I don't think we understand that. Perpetual slave, perpetual means forever. Right? Like, they see what, but anyway.
That means generation upon generation upon generation. Period. That's what it means.
All right.
Your grandchildren's children's children's children. That's why they still look at you as slaves. And it's nothing.
Maybe because you was cursed by God, their God. Who knows? I don't know.
Have to pay more in taxes. It is a strong likelihood that your child and your future lineage will be born enslaved. Now, it's a reason why they went away, because, we're going by the doctrine of discovery in Christianity, and you are who your father is, and it's passed on through the father to the son. But they went away from all of that to see the first deviation from following their own laws of the doctrine of discovery. Because saying you are what your mother is still gave them sexual access to black women and allowed them to enslave their children, their own children. Now, if a black woman under an indentured contract had a
Now, consider you know how sick that is. I just wanted to say real quick because I'm gonna let the rest play because I'm gonna skip ahead so we can finish. But they went away from their religious doctrine, the Christian thing of, you know how the father is passed down to the son, to the father, to the son. Now it went to the mother is passed down to the children so they can continue to rape black women. That's how they changed their whole religion and their laws and their rules so they can so they was illegal against themselves, and even with their own doctrine of this white Christianity, they going to hell themselves, you know what I'm saying, their own version of it, because they violated or they just changed it, so I guess they good. But they changed the rules so they can still have quote unquote sexual access to black women, right? So that's as PG as I could put it. It's called rape. Let's be real. I got to get myself on that one. Like, but
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
yeah.
Child with her enslaver, whether it was consensual or not, she had to serve another 2 years on top of what she already had to serve, even if he raped her. Now, you already know they had to regulate the black man and white woman thing. And if a white woman was caught with a black man, then she was severely fined. And if she couldn't pay the fine, then she was forced into servitude. Now, we know Anthony Johnson had to leave Virginia and go to Maryland. But by 1663, Maryland said they presumed any black person coming into their colony was a slave. So if you were a black person in Maryland, they just considered you a slave. And if a white girl tried to marry a black man, then she lost her freedom too, even though they left themselves access
I
to
should have a white girl
continue to
one, but I
rape
don't
black
today.
women.
So
But any child a white woman had with a black man in Maryland was automatically considered a slave. So basically, if either one of your parents were black in Maryland, you were automatically a slave. Now, down in South Carolina, or the areas we know as South Carolina today, they started giving slave owners 20 acres of land for every male slave they had and 10 acres of land for every female slave. Now, of course, all through this time, black people were continuously fighting back. And the first documented slave revolt in the colony happened in 1663. Now, the Glue Cluster Conspiracy or the Birkenhead Rebellion was the first time African slaves, European servants, and Native people united to fight. Now, they armed themselves and they planned to march to the governor's mansion to demand freedom. And if he refused, they were going to turn to violence or any means necessary. Now, before they got to the governor, a black servant, John Birkenhead, snitched on him. And as a reward, he did get his freedom and 5 pounds of
He should have
tobacco,
died.
although I'm
He should have
probably sure
died.
it did not help his
Him and his
descendants.
family should have died.
Check it out.
That's all I'm
The
saying.
Mosaic Block, Chester County, Virginia, man. This is where like under
all
rebellion.
right, so let's go
Adopting
to
other
the end,
people's
right?
cultures and traditions and religious practices, especially when they are counterintuitive to our own, has not helped us, has not got us out of any kind of treatment whatsoever. And this 20 to 30 year window 400 years ago still has an effect on us today, even though they shut that window real quick 400 years ago. In 1667, Virginia passed a law to ensure that baptizing Negroes wouldn't save them from bondage. Until then, they somewhat followed the doctrine of discovery in their own religion, but they clearly went against their own religion because you're not supposed to enslave another Christian for life. But they passed a law to ensure that getting baptized because
Now, consider in the Bible, are you supposed to enslave somebody with the same beliefs as you? In the Bible, it says, I know it says like another Israelite and all of that, but are you supposed to enslave another Christian for life?
Nope.
All right. So they're going to hell,
And they know
pretty
that.
much.
And they know that. They know that. They come up with their own laws and they still do the same thing today. They still come up with their own laws today. Look
So
at
how do
Florida.
you? So, but that's the thing. How do these Christians, quote unquote, because that's what the Pilgrims were, who the savages who was selling children in 1640 something and passed the law to sell
Yeah,
children.
and gave them those blankets that was a contaminated blanket. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like the
yeah,
Catholic.
those
Well, they
people.
was like, I think they became. I don't know if they. I don't know if it's true or not. They probably became the Catholics and stuff like that. I don't know. They was following the Pope, and I think I'm pretty sure.
That
But
man who put you in slavery, the Pope, didn't he tell him it was okay?
yeah,
Go get them niggas over there in Africa. It's okay.
ain't sure. Yeah, but how did they get around that by saying that black people can possibly be Christian because you ain't even a damn human in the first place? How can a dog be a Christian? You know what I'm saying? So, um,
You're
you're
less a
lesser
dog.
than the dog, so how
Exactly.
could you possibly be a damn Christian at all? So this helped them be able to sleep at night, right? So this is why they can pass laws to say, well, since they're not human, then I don't care if they get because at this time black people was making a run on like, yo, all right, well, they was going with the law, like let's go to their courts and get justice, you know what I'm saying? Where we'll accept the ways of the Englishmen, accept this Christianity, and then we'll be free. You know what I'm saying? We can be like, well, you cannot enslave another Christian for life, you know what I'm saying? But since they don't give a damn about none of that stuff, you know what I'm saying, and they just go by what is, they change the rules on religion altogether, right? You know, I guess God came down and changed the rules, you know.
No,
So
they changed.
Becoming Christianized, changing your name, changing your religion, accepting the ways of the Englishmen or the Portuguese or the Spaniards or the Dutch will not save you from bondage. And slavery to them is forever. Perpetual means forever. Now, during this little 20 to 30 year window, one of the few people who actually did win their freedom through Christianity was Elizabeth Key Granstead. Now, Elizabeth was a mulatto. Her father was Thomas Key, who was a member of the Virginia House of Burgess. And although he denied her, right, likely the product of raping his slave, you know, and then enslaved his own daughter. But since he was a member of the House of Burgess, they convicted him on anti-miscegenation laws. Now he was forced to take care of her, and after he baptized her, he arranged for her to get an apprenticeship so she can learn skills. Now, after Thomas Key died, she was sold to a white dude named John Mottram. And even though her indenture ended, he kept her enslaved for years. Now, one day he bought more indentured servants, and Elizabeth ended up marrying one of them, which was a white dude named William Granstead. Now, this white dude was a lawyer. So after they had kids, he convinced her to file for her freedom and the freedom of their son. Now, Elizabeth argued that since she was a Christian and the daughter of a white man, it's against English law to enslave her. And eventually, she actually won the suit. And even though Elizabeth won her freedom by adopting to Christianity, it wasn't a widespread thing. Elizabeth also argued that her father was a white man and she was a mulatto. Her husband was a white dude who was a lawyer.
Elizabeth Key Grinstead was the first woman of African ancestry successfully that she.
But very few fully black people were able to get this benefit.
right,
But
we're actual
many
black
people
people.
adopted it and threw away their own religious practices and beliefs, hoping that it would save them. And it has not, neither has accepting the ways of the Englishman. Now we're going to end the second.
And just so we can end it here, because yes, there is this forced assimilation and stuff
We
like
really
that.
got to stop caring what white people think about us. We got to get over respectability politics. I feel like at a certain point, coming out of the civil rights movement, we convinced ourselves that assimilation was the way to liberation. So we can be accepted by white folk, then we're going to be okay. We not going to ever get free trying to be accepted by white folk. Ever. Ever. So at some point, we got to really lean into being who we are at our core. We really got to stop caring what white people think.
Right. You know, being who you are, you know.
At the evidence
When we refused access to hotels, we built our own hotels, financed by our own means. The Wallahaji in Atlanta, the Carver and Calver Hotel in Florida, the St. Charles in Chicago, the St. Teresa in New York. I could go on and on. When we were denied access to colleges, we built our own. And in fact, our small business formation rate was higher than whites in the 20s. And that really determines any group's participation in the economy. It is not what government does for you or what white people do. In fact, I think those who continue to push this race agenda are Eurocentric.
All right. Well, see, he started going off the see, and this is what a lot of like the Thomas Sowell, it's like, yeah, we was doing this and doing this, but then they go away from what even made them do that was because they had to rely on themselves and their blackness, but then they turn around and be like, this is why we shouldn't like talk about her, which is like ignorant because it defeats the purpose of the whole argument. But usually like people like First Rifleman will, because they mix the truth, because yes, you wasn't invited into their church, so you built the black church, right? But why would you want to be invited, right?
Exactly.
And I had this one for like the Englishman one, but I guess I'll play like the first like minute or so
I
before
totally
scripture.
understand. Black
'Cause-
conservatives are just white supremacists at this point because they're agreeing with racists that most black people should be locked up.
I totally understood what he was saying. Like, and yeah,
I
and
totally
most blacks
get it.
need to be locked up. Yeah,
It's wild how detached from reality these people are.
yeah. Most blacks do need to be put in jail because they keep getting let out.
Consider is it me, but do black people got talk with this? A lot of black men talk with this lisp and stuff, like in very soft spoken. Like,
God.
the hell is going on here? Am I tripping?
Just disgusting the way we think.
Jeez, because it ain't on. It's no. Anyway.
And that's what makes them so perplexing to watch because they openly praise and cheer on racists who don't even try to hide their hatred for black people.
Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
They enthusiastically support an administration that is actively erasing black history and our contributions to this country while trying to rewind time to drag us back to a pre-civil rights, pre-voting rights era for black people. It's genuinely disturbing to watch these sellouts twist themselves into knots, bending over backwards to prove that they're the good ones, to get that conservative bag and support while demonizing the rest of the black community.
Things that happen in the hood. I mean, it may not happen at the rate people try to deny it, but the fact that it happens is enough to make these type of comments. The crime that black people commit against other black people is a problem. We talk about that on this channel all the time. We get accused of being sellouts.
You are. But let's be clear, if these white Christian nationalist racists got their way, we already know how they feel about people of color existing in.
And you know, I'm not, and I don't talk about those ones because it's like a little bit too easy because they just dumb for real. You know what I'm saying? Because they not in. But anyway, let's go to the last thing, consider, which is, do you this Christianity thing? Because we talked about the black Christians, but is the white Christians, right? Because now they on this whole kick about like, oh yeah, white or foundation of America, well, because we brought Christian, you know, like this whole thing about we have these Christian moral values, and this is why we support what we support and all of this stuff. But we know how stupid it is, right? But they don't. Right?
Recipes to Charlie Kirk. I think this is appropriate to play. And in this clip, he talks about the United States being a Christian country. We won't watch the whole thing, but we'll watch. He makes a very compelling argument here about why it's a Christian country.
States required you to be a Bible-believing Christian. You need to read the state constitution.
And it's also very important because you know, one of the biggest things that people always mistake is they look at the federal documents, they don't look at the state documents. In the state documents, there was an officially declared religion, or needed an officially declared religion. And pretty much all of them were Christian. Well, actually, excuse me, all of them were Christian, Protestant mostly.
That's not even true.
Let's see here what Charlie says.
Only articulates the structure of government.
Remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government.
And I went over this with Andrew Wilson actually in Vegas, and we had a very deep discussion on this. So shout out to my guy Andrew Wilson. And look, I hate to say it, for all the niggas, and also, this is not a Jewish or a Muslim country, okay? Even though it's run by Jews.
Man, you still gotta say all of the damn.
I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. So you remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration.
Now, this Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which is the one that, hell, my grandma be like, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Is it the same one?
Oh, it's the same one,
Because
honey.
one person, one of those prayers is getting answered. One of us ain't getting answered. You know what I'm saying? Is this the same
Same one.
Lord and Jesus in heaven?
Same one. Same one. Same one. I'm just saying, same one. Prayer still ain't getting answered. Same one.
Lord have mercy. I'm
That's
saying
Caesar
it now.
Borgia. That's the Caesar Borgia one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know which one we worship. We worship, I don't know.
A common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go
We
to
worship Trump.
presumption of innocence,
Yeah.
process, and jury of your peers. All three are biblical principles. So, and all wrap into the ultimate biblical principle that
This has something in here, but
is incorporated also in the New Testament, judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne.
they preaching because it's out the Bible.
Christ our Lord as
Okay.
a prayer, very specific.
And then hanging niggas the same day.
By far the most quoted
They'll
book.
praise the police officers for killing you.
The founding.
Well, anyway, he was like, that's not including black on black crime. Not including, what, not, what did he say? Is that including or not including gang violence? Not including gang violence. How about that? We talking about Christian on Christian violence. That's what we're talking about. Because one thing that they do, just like what Trump did with Nigeria, right, was talking about, oh, they're attacking the Christians. See, they used to use that same doctrine in the 1600s. You know what I'm saying? They was like, this is a Christian such and such, you know. They did this to a Christian, but you know what they refer to in the law as far as that, you know what I'm saying? But the point is this the same Jesus, Lord and
Is
Savior?
America first and Christian nationalism. You're a Christian nationalist, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to ask you about America first, but first, let's start with the Christian nationalist piece. Obviously, they both run into each other. When you say you're a Christian nationalist, what do you mean by that?
I believe that America's a Christian nation.
Yeah.
Which is sort of in the name. Christian nationalist, America's a Christian nation. And I think that Christianity is an essential part of America's identity. Fundamentally, I think that America...
Yeah, along with like killing and bloodshed and rape and murder and torture. And and Christianity. Yeah.
should have a Christian government is what I think that ultimately comes down to.
Amen.
And if you want to get very specific and detailed about it, I believe that only Christians should be legislators, judges, and in the executive branch.
Amen.
I think that if
He said,
Christianity
amen.
is true, if God has a
He was an
law,
idiot.
then our government should follow that. I think that's historically our identity. I think that...
Amen, Nicholas. Amen. Amen, Nicholas. Amen. For the heathens that don't understand why he believes Christians should run America, I'm going to tell you why. It's because if you don't have a religion, you don't appeal to authority, which means is who tells what is good.
So you mean to tell me if I don't have a religion, I ain't gonna appeal to just any authority then, huh? It means I'm gonna stand up for myself and not let my boundaries be violated, huh? Damn. It sound like we wanted to have this. Cassandra, I don't know. What you think? She might be busy.
Good and what is bad. Let me guess. Oh, you should already know what's good or what's bad. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and go the Andrew Wilson route. You're gonna have to tell me why it is bad, besides your preference, if two dudes that are gay but are brothers.
What do you think? I agree wholeheartedly. Lex
Right there, I think that we should have a fully Christian government.
What do you think? I agree wholeheartedly. Lex Rex.
See, this Negro don't think that they talking about him though. Like he think he's gonna go to that white Christian nation and get let into. Hey, I'm a Christian. See, after Elizabeth Key Granstead, they was like, "Yo, I don't give a damn if these Negroes is getting." They said niggas. I was just saying Negroes get baptized. You think they still not gonna be my slaves? Like you can't be a Christian, right? Because Christian is a, I'm not gonna say what it is. From if you speak in English and saying Christian, that means you was accepted the ways of the Englishman. I'm just saying. I'm saying if you speak English and say it, you know.
The
Oh, go ahead.
law is above the king. I'm actually comfortable with the king.
I'm only saying that, and, you know, I'm not trying to come at nobody like religious views. I'm just saying if you praying to the same God as your enemy and their prayers is getting answered and yours is not, I would have some questions at the very least, like, yo, God, you
What's
said you
going
was
on
coming
here?
back when this stuff happened. Why would my father want this for me? Well, anyway. Oh, and
That's the story of another day.
yeah, that's another day. I know. That's too
I
crazy.
think just because of America's founding and history, I think we
Like
could
manifest destiny.
there, but I don't think we would ever call someone a king. You know, it's just not in our blood as Americans. There's an aversion to that. But even if there was a monarch,
American,
the law
white,
is still
Christian,
ultimately
white,
ruler.
all that means white.
The law above the king.
Exactly.
Right.
In terms of the
I hate to say, right, and I hate that I have to be so simplistic when it, because these fools here is, I never showed them because it's like too easy, because they're just like dumb, like really, you know what I'm saying? It's like not really challenging, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really serve any purpose, you know. But since we're on this Christian subject, this is your fellow
law
Christian
of
here.
God, we have all these statutes throughout the Old Testament, and then many of them restated.
Now, my only question though, and this is my fundamental problem. If I'll be like, I am not a Christian, and he says he is a Christian, am I your brother to the black man, black Christian? Am I your brother, or is he your brother first? And
Depending on what depending on what brother you asked him, what Christian you asked him. Most of the time, he's going to be his brother more so than you first.
and the problem is that I had to add first in there because he ain't your brother at all, fool. Like I'm gonna break it to you right now. He ain't your brother at all. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So the fact that I had to put, because he'd be like, well, yeah, under this doctrine, he is my brother. You know what I'm saying? But
No.
some might say
Ain't
you're
got
my
nothing in
brother
common.
first.
Nothing in common. That's why they was picnicking back in the day. Go to church, they come on back and have a picnic. Look up the
Yeah,
history of
well,
that.
white people said you have to have a gun when you go to church because that's when Negroes plot and they can do what they do. On Sundays was a big day in like a lot of revolutions, Christmas, a certain holiday, 4th of July, and Sunday, because that's when they was in church and black people was like, all right, now is the time, you know. And then they was like, well, you know, let's wear our guns to church because it ain't like, anyway. Imagine black people like, yeah, let's bring our guns to church, you know.
Exactly.
Some new ones in the New Testament. But the summary of the law would be the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, Exodus chapter 20. That really summarizes the law. And then Jesus summarizes it even further when he says, the first and greatest commandment is to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, strength. And the second is like it, that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. All of the law
Student trying to teach the teacher, huh?
they rest
Doing
on
it
these
just
two commandments. So the way I see it is, Jesus is love God, love neighbor. That being a summary of a summary, it's the,
Yeah, anyway, Cassandra. praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, as they would say here. I don't know, cause dang, I shouldn't have stopped. Like, yo, just so we can go off on this. Let's go. I want to show you this real quick. I'll just play all of these real quick and then let you see what you got to say. So it's in what Burkina Faso, because you brought it up.
Ne peut raconter notre histoire. And no one can tell our story better than we can. For a long time, they were the ones who said what they wanted about Africa. They were the ones who said what they wanted about the black man. Now it's time to say no to that and tell it like it is. And I encourage you to pursue this project, which we will support. We are fighting for Africa. We are fighting for the black man. We are fighting for the dignity of Africa, fighting for the well-being of our people, just as they fight for the dignity and well-being of their own. We, too, have something in our hearts. We stand wholeheartedly with all peoples who fight for justice, for equality, for well-being. And we are friends to all peoples who respect us and who respect our sovereignty and our dignity. To see Africa awakening is a nightmare for some. But Africa is awakening, and Africa will awaken. Despite their wishes, despite what they have thought and said of Africa, as a land of slaves, a cursed land, we will not be complicit in making their lies come true. We will tell them that Africa is a continent of hope, a continent of resilience, and a continent of the future. And we will fight for that. Some will say it is impossible for Africa to catch up, to awaken. They told us the same when we sought to take charge of our own destiny, that it was
All right, well, how about we knock them back so we can get ahead? And if we can't never catch up, then how about we do what we can so we can get ahead, and whatever it takes.
With courage, once again, they sought to orchestrate another audacious coup d'etat, which was bravely and skillfully foiled by truly capable and dedicated men. Because when Captain Ibrahim Traore arrived, it was told to the people of the whole world that he surrounded himself with capable men to save Burkina Faso. These men swore, together with the people of Burkina Faso, that Captain Ibrahim Traore is the apple of our eye. Today, the coup d'etat was successfully foiled.
A few days ago, right here on Talks by Kate, we spoke about the many attempts to bring down President Ibrahim Traore. We explained that these attempts did not start today and did not start yesterday. They have been happening again and again. While we were still reporting and explaining those earlier attempts, the new year 2026 arrived. Sadly, the new year did not begin peacefully for the people of Burkina Faso. Instead of joy and calm, fear and tension filled the air. Yet, even in that fear, the people did not give up hope, and they did not stop standing strong. On January the 3rd, 2026, reports came out that there had been yet another coup attempt to overthrow President Ibrahim Traore and remove the MPSR-2 government. This news shocked many people inside Burkina Faso and beyond. Many families were worried. Many people asked why this keeps happening and who benefits from the.
Well, who asked that question besides black people? I guess somebody did ask that question. Never mind. But damn, I had one, but it is what it is. They was like they had. I guess I'll play this one.
This report. Well, we have the people of Burkina Faso, that's the Burkinabe people, him to be on SIDS. Let's watch the video.
The people was out like, yo, get that, you know.
Now, recently, family, there was.
So you saw that, Cassidra?
But did we see that over there in El Salvador? What was that? Venezuela?
What?
Did we?
Yo, your
We
mic
know he
going in
ready.
and
That brother ain't he's not afraid to die. When you got a man that ain't afraid to die, he will kill you to save his life. That's why Trump is not walking to his front door. He may send some coons, but he ain't gonna send the U.S. Army trying to walk to nobody's door and knock on the door and arrest nobody. He's not doing that because he got the whole city on alert. The whole country of Burkina Faso. They're sleeping at this man's door. They're sleeping in the streets. They are protecting their president. They'll tell you, don't come over here with it because we waiting on it. They're not playing, and they serious, and they're gonna protect theirs. Now they just had a coup when they was doing Venezuela. They was over there trying to coup him, and his main man stopped it. So now you got to keep an eye on the main man, the one that stopped it, that keeps spoiling it. They can try to take him out because they said we can't get to him because of him. So we have to, but the whole city is on alert. They're sleeping in the streets in front of this dude's house, waiting. That's some balls. That's how we're supposed to be. He is showing the world this is how Black people should be. He cares about his country. He cares about his people. This is the way it's supposed to be. And I rest with that.
yeah, facts, Cassandra. And all I can say is I am a little bit disappointed. Not really. I guess I already knew because you see, it's just me and you and this junk. Cassandra. Shouts out to Ross. Shouts out to Karma, who was in the building. But this is way more important, right? See, I knew that last one was gonna piss off people. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'd be like, let me not even bring it
Just
up.
stir the pot a little bit, huh? Stir the pot
See,
a
this
little
is
bit.
why
And see, we tried to, we stir the pot a little bit just to see that we had to prove a point. And we see people not ready to learn. This is why we are in the predicament. This is why we're where we are today. No change, no freedom, no, not even revolutions, not even fighting to be free. We lazy and we love being slaves. That's what I'm gonna say. We love being slaves. We love catering to white folk. We love that attention because they can count on Black folk. Ain't that something? Remember a woman, I heard somebody say, told a white child, if you ever get lost, go find a Black woman. Ain't that something? Well, don't come to me because I guarantee you ain't gonna get the help I think your mammy told you gonna get. I guarantee you. Because I'm gonna look at your ass and keep walking. Go ask something. Not, do I look like 911 to you? Don't ask me nothing. I don't give a damn if somebody do come snatch your ass up. That'd be one lesson we gotta take care. One lesson my grandchild gotta take it, gotta worry about. But that's what she told her child. Go find a Black woman. Ain't that something? So you can count on us like that, you think? That ain't all of us. That ain't all of us.
It's most of us, Cassandra. I ain't gonna lie, it's most of us.
Well, yeah, it's most of us, but it's your you better pick the right one that day. Don't pick me. Pick the
Um,
right one. That's all I'm gonna say. Pick the right one.
this
They ain't
is
afraid of Black folks.
Yeah,
They not threatened by us
we had to.
here in America. But I'm gonna rest with that. I hope we gave them something to think about. This is the most important show, learning your history. And we can't even get people to come on and listen about their history because it's too raw. It's too rough. It's too real for them. They're not ready to face this. Because in their mindset, white folk ain't like that no more. That's been years ago. But have they changed? Are you free? Tell me what's different than now and then. Tell me what's different. Oh, you can go and buy a car now. You can live next door to them. Who in the hell want to live next door to them? Because you go in their neighborhood, they killing you. More so than they killing you in yours, in your own. What about that Peyton who went in a Black neighborhood? What about the one that went in the Black woman who moved and her kid said that she moved out of a neighborhood to get closer to white folk because she thought she was safer. What are you talking about? Really? You really think you're safer around them? That's brainwashing stuff. That's brainwashing. I would never think I'm safer around them. Their history is not telling me that I'm safer around them. Their history is not telling me that I'm safer around them. So what are we talking about? We're gonna move
Your mic went out, Cassandra.
Oh, my mic is
Yeah.
gone. Can you hear me now?
Oh, well, yeah, I hear you now. Yeah. What up, Icon Fire? Shouts out. Um, yeah, I created a documentary. Well, you can people can, and I'm gonna finish up the Black History course. That's why we starting it right now. We're gonna come out with the Black History book. So the volume 1 part about to come out. But I'll say this though, Cassandra. I don't say what I say for no reason though. You know what I'm saying? Like it may seem like I say it in a way. I think I say it in a way that is so that anybody can understand, right? So if I'm talking to like a 2-year old, they could be like, "Oh yeah, I feel you." You know what I'm saying? But I don't say what I say for no reason, you know. And I think people think that when I be like, "Oh yeah, there ain't no good one," I'm just saying that to be like, "Oh, how could it possibly be no good ones?" Because I have seen what the good ones look like, you know what I'm saying? Like throughout history, and the fact that it repeats itself over and over and over, you know what I'm saying? So when I be saying certain things, I'm not saying it because I'm gonna be honest, like we all want to be able to relax and chill and go live our lives. Like if it wasn't like I would just be go chill, go watch football and go like what I'm saying, go to the bar and do all these other things, what I'm saying. I want to be able to relax and enjoy life, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that like I hate the situation and hate the position that we as a collective are in, you know what I'm saying, that our young people like what, consider children born like yesterday or the day before yesterday, they had a chance if we had stood up right now. But like now I fear for the babies who was just born. So um you know what, all I can say is this, consider and I guess this will be my last words here. um let's see.
Well, realization that the Negro is a human being like anyone else.
Mr. Hasty, what did you think we were before you began to think of us as human beings?
Well, in a way, we thought of you almost as a very superior pet. Something, or rather someone, we had to take care of because we had to do so much of their thinking for them. We had to do almost everything for them, except
that worked out.
living their own lives. Anything outside, we had to do for them.
But you know what, and because this is all I'm saying here. This is the only thing
You
I'm
won't
trying to
believe
say.
what happens when a crow discovers another crow has died. When a crow passes away, something incredible takes place. Other crows swarm around the corpse, almost like they're holding a funeral. But here's the thing, they're not simply grieving, they're doing detective work. They examine the surroundings, analyzing every single clue, attempting to figure out what killed their friend. Crows actually learn from these encounters. They memorize human faces, they detect threats, and they alert the entire group about what they discovered.
I mean, you can learn from encounters? Ain't no way in hell.
Crows actually learn from these encounters. They memorize human faces, they detect threats, and they alert the entire group about what they discovered. If a specific location or person was involved in that crow's death, they'll literally remember it for years and spread that information to other crows in the area.
Or remember it perpetually and try to spread it to all the other ones around the area. You know what I'm saying? Who can hear it under the sound of my
Involved
voice.
in that crow's death, they'll literally remember it for years and spread that information to other crows in the area. It's basically their way of conducting a crime scene investigation to keep the whole community safe. They're teaching each other what to avoid, who to stay away from, and which spots are dangerous. This behavior shows us that these birds are way more intelligent, far more observant, and significantly more socially connected
Than black people, right? That's the last sentence he was gonna say. They're infinitely more smarter than black people. So I don't know what to tell you, considering I know I can't say that we're doomed no more, but it don't look good. We got hope. I'll say we got hope, So shouts out to you, Cassidra. I appreciate you for making time, yo. And y'all make sure that y'all keep an eye out for Cassidra on the Fly Nubian Queen platform. So shouts out to her for doing bigger and better things. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for coming on here, Cassidra. Um, Shouts out to Icon Fire. Shouts out to Raw. Shouts out to Karma. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.